Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a tutorial on how to make some mini taper candles. I'm super excited to get started and I hope you are too. So my name is Lisa Graham. I'm from YYC Beeswax and I have been making rolled candles for over 6 years now, and I would like to share some of my knowledge with you. We're doing a series of tutorials. We're doing some mini tapers, some full-size tapers, mini pillars, and a beehive candle. So if you enjoy this tutorial, I hope you'll check out our other tutorials. So I'm not going to spend too much time chatting over here. I'm going to direct your attention over to the other camera where I have all of the supplies ready to go for making our mini taper candles. So over here I have all the supplies you'll need. There's the cutting board, the ruler. I like to use a 24-inch ruler. We don't actually need a 24-inch or any sort of large ruler. A regular 12-inch ruler will work for this project. So we have the ruler, I have the heat gun, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. You can also, if you don't have a heat gun, you can use a hair dryer. It takes a little bit longer, but it will still get the job done. I have some wick down here, super important for making candles, and our scissors for cutting the wick. And finally, I have a knife. So I'm using an X-Acto knife here. You can use the sharp edge of a ruler. You could use a pizza cutter. There's lots of options. You want to be really careful with any sort of knife. So I also have one more item over here. It's a regular tin can from the kitchen, and I'm using that to get my fingers out of the path of the knife. I really do not want to cut my fingers again. It happened to me a couple years ago and it was not fun at all. So take the safety precautions and keep your fingers intact is my recommendation. So if you have your materials, feel free to pause the video and grab your materials, or if you're ready to go, let's get started. So first off, I'm going to clear everything off. Well, there we go. So we're left with our cutting board and our beeswax sheet here. And the very first step I do is to heat up the sheet. And there is what's called bloom on this sheet because we're working with a lighter color beeswax. If you're wondering what color we're working with, this is the Cayman blue. It looks almost white in the picture, but it is a really pale blue, and as we roll the candles we'll get to see that light blue color come out. So it's also looking a little bit lighter because it has bloom on it. So there is a little bit of a matte coating on here. The bloom is natural. It happens to beeswax over time. It's a chemical reaction that occurs in the wax, and it's very easy to remove. So the reason we're removing the bloom is to help make the wax a little bit stickier. It'll be a little easier to work with, and we're going to bring that vibrant color through again. So I'm going to take a little bit of the bloom off and we'll see if it shows up on camera. So you can see already this is a little bit shinier at the top. The color is not significantly different, so I actually brought some colored tea light so I can really show you the difference. So this tea light here is orange and it has bloom on it as well. So I'm going to take that bloom off, and you can see the color changing. You can see that color change. It's super vibrant now, that orange, compared to when we had the bloom over there. So you can see on the left hand side we've got the bloom taken off, and on the right hand side there's a bit of bloom. So we'll finish off this tea light and we've got that super vibrant orange again. So that's basically what we're doing with the sheet. And as you're using your hair dryer or heat gun, you want to be very careful not to melt through your wax. So that's why you'll see me moving back and forth with the heat gun. So let's finish this up. It's a little bit hard to see, but I haven't completely taken the bloom off of this side, and that's because I'm going to flip it over. So if you just do the one side, the other side will have a little bit of bloom left. It's a lot easier to see on the darker colors of wax. So I'm going to give the second side a quick run through with the heat. We'll take that last little bit of bloom off. Alright, so now we are ready to go. So with the mini pillars we're making today, basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut the sheet into quarters. And if you just have a 12-inch ruler, that is totally fine. The sheets, they do vary in size a little bit. This one that I'm using is pretty much exactly 16 inches. So I'm going to grab my knife. You can use your fingernail or anything to mark off the points. And my ruler is stopped by the wall right now, so I'm actually going from 1 inch. Normally I would go all the way from the edge. So we have 16 inches here. We're going to cut it in half. So our halfway point is normally 8 inches, but because we're offset by 1 inch, we are going to do 9. So I'm going to make a little marking here at the 9. And then we're going to mark each of the quarters in here. So we're going to mark it at 5. So this would normally be 4 and 13. So I have my little markings made. Then I'm going to shift the ruler up to the top, and we're going to put the same markings on the top. So this is testing my math skills because the wall is in the way. Actually, I'm going to flip the ruler around, and I might have a little bit more room that way. Okay, here we go. So we're going right from the edge, so now I can actually do it in half. So we have our 8 inches. And our 4 inches and our 12 over here. So the next step, we're going to take these markings we've made on either side and we're going to cut the pieces off. So what I like to do is to gently lift where the markings are so I can set up my ruler. I'm going to use my handy can here, and then we're going to cut along the line here. Hopefully my ruler doesn't look like it's moving. Perfect. So we've cut off our first piece. And we're going to repeat this for each of the pieces. So we'll find the next marking on here. In this project, we're getting 4 candles out of 1 sheet of beeswax. And this project is an excellent project for people with smaller hands. So you're thinking younger kids, this is a perfect project for them. And it's even more perfect if you can pre-cut all of your wax, and then they have no cutting involved. So we have our last piece, our last cut here. Awesome. We're finished with the knife, we're finished with the ruler, and we are ready to start. So we have 4 sheets of wax here. Each of these is going to become a mini candle. So next up, I'm going to grab the wick. I'm going to set my pieces to the side. I'll pull one out, and we're going to measure the wick. So we want it to be flush with the bottom, and it's going to come out the top. I'm going to make these ones a simple wick again. So that'll be similar to this candle I have over here with the wick coming straight out the top. Other options you can do with your wick if you want to get a little fancy. You can do a looped wick at the top. And I show you how to do this in our beehive candle tutorial. So if you want to see how that's done, feel free to check that out. But I'm just going to do a simple candle today. So I'm going to take about here and I will cut that wick. And since we're making 4 candles here, I'm going to cut all 4 wicks right away. And I'll just measure them against each other. So all my wicks are ready to go. Perfect. Okay, so we're done with the wicks now. So I'll put the 3 wicks over in my stack over here, and we will start rolling. So I'm going to measure. We're going to align that wick same way we did when we were measuring to cut. So you want it aligned with the bottom, and we're going to put it all the way up the edge. And I put the wick a little bit in from the edge, and then I'm going to gently fold that bottom piece up. This is how we start the rolling. It's the trickiest part of the candle. So if you're working with small kids to do this project, this will be the step they'll probably need the most help with. So I'll bring this a little closer to the camera, and you can see how I'm gently molding the wax over that wick. So we're going to keep going from here, and our goal as we're rolling is to keep it as tight as possible, and we want to make sure that bottom stays flat. So these first little rolls are going to be the trickiest, and pretty soon it'll be big enough that it'll just roll easy as pie. So there we go, it's starting to get a little bit easier. So making sure it's nice and tight. And because these candles are so short, they're also great for younger kids with smaller hands because they can control the tightness a little bit better through the whole length of the candle. So there we go. So we kept the bottom nice and tight. If your bottom is not exactly flat, you can gently press down. And now we are to the end of our candle. So what we're going to do is we're going to gently press all along the seam to seal it. And this is going to prevent your candle from unrolling on you. So there we have it. And you can gently press it down on your cutting board to make sure it's nice and flat. But there we have made our own mini taper candle. So these candles are about 4 inches tall, and they will work really well in any sort of taper holder. So here's a taper holder I have. They will fit in a standard taper holder. Show you the side view. There we go. So there you have it, and you're going to repeat the process. We have 3 more sheets of wax here with the wick, so you can repeat that process for your next 3 candles. Awesome, so thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. And you can check out our other tutorial videos. We're doing some other taper candles, some full-size taper candles, a mini pillar candle, and a beehive candle with the rolled sheets. So you can also check out our Pinterest board, where you can find us at YYC Beeswax on Pinterest. We have a sheet full of beeswax sheet ideas, so you can get your own crafting ideas there. And if you want to connect with us, if you have any questions, you're welcome to join our Beginner Beeswax Candle Making group on Facebook. And you can connect with us on social media. We're at YYC Beeswax on Facebook, at YYC Wax on Instagram and Twitter. And you can check out our YouTube channel. We have lots of educational material on there as well, all about bees, and candle making. And I hope that was useful for you today, and I hope we can connect with each other again soon. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!